I've taken the ship's wheel. It's pirate radio side questing. We've kicked Dali overboard. There's nobody, no boss to tell us what to do.
We're gonna tell the real news.
The real news.
The real news. The real games.
Yeah. Now, the only top tier stuff. Not that bullshit we usually do.
Yeah, no, that's done. That's dead. Done.
There's a new era of the SideQuest.
The SideQuest. That's the show that we're on.
Yeah. You may not recognize me, but I am JJ. I do not have a beard. I realize this. You don't have to say it. I've heard it from literally every human being in my life over the last week. So,
I mean, did you realize it was gone, or what happened?
It was like I just woke up and it was gone. That was just how these things work. You don't have a beard, so it's I know it's hard to. That sometimes they just flee the nest, and it's a beautiful. Thing.
I mean, I know that mine's not as long as yours, but I do maintain a winter foliage all time.
Yeah, but no, I got drunk and lost a bet, so that's the truth. It's the true tale.
I mean, did you think about not betting your most sacred object?
No, because people kept handing me Jello shots, and that's just what ends up happening. How was I supposed to know that the person who I made the bet against could sink a hole-in-one on the 18th hole of a mini golf course when they've barely made a single hole in 5 this entire night? It was a safe, surefire thing.
That's sometimes it's just the way it goes. If you're going to lose anything, at least let it be mini golf.
Yeah, I mean, hello, Stefan. So our fearless leader, we've got him chained up. He's not allowed.
Yeah, I think he sent a video from his bonds.
Yeah.
Which that'll happen soon.
Yeah, that'll happen at the games section of the show, which takes a while to get to the video game part of the side quest most of the time. So, yeah. Is there any news story that you can think of that you want to talk about? Because I think the only two biggest things the biggest thing that happened was, I don't think we talked about the Nintendo stuff at all, did we? I wasn't here for last week's show, and I can't remember when it took place.
Which Nintendo stuff?
The Direct, the third-party Direct. Is that the stuff?
I don't. We had it. When was the Direct?
The Direct was Tuesday. So yeah.
This past Tuesday?
Yeah, wasn't it this week? SideQuesting.com. It's a website. Let's see.
SideQuesting.com/Nintendo Direct. That's. I don't think that's a site, but sure.
No. All of the news went after the last podcast, so
okay. There you go.
Let's see when this story. Does this website not say when things were posted? Yeah, all right. Yeah, so we're good. We'll talk about Nintendo.
Okay. There was some pretty good stuff overall.
Pretty good stuff. Let's see. Of course, Monster Hunter Rise. We don't need to talk about that. We talked about that plenty. Are you still excited for Monster Hunter Rise? Is that a thing that's on your?
Yeah, I already purchased it.
Okay.
It is.
It's like ready to go. Everyone.
Yeah, it came out yesterday.
Yes.
And I've not had a chance to dive in. I've been on like a 3-month hiatus from Monster Hunter, which means that I no longer know how to play the video game. So I have to relearn how to play Monster Hunter, and then I'll be able to partake in Sunbreak. So, but yeah, I mean, by all appearances, I put like 180 hours into Monster Hunter Rise, so I don't see why more of that thing is not something that I'm going to enjoy. So, But yeah, I have not had a chance to play it yet. But yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of surprised because of how much of a known quantity Rise was, how much time it got on the Direct.
On the Direct, yeah, especially with it coming out like the next day.
Right, but you know, at the same time, who knows? Maybe Capcom, had an agreement with Nintendo to put that much time on it as
nothing can really go. Sometimes just whipping people into a frenzy like the day before something comes out, just like drumming up the fans in the streets, like it very well could have easily have sold a few more copies just having it fresh in the mind on the Nintendo Direct.
Very well could have. And like I said, it would not surprise me if Capcom was like, yeah, here's a little bit. Let's get a good chunk on Rise right at the front there, please. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. One of the bigger announcements was Nier coming to the Switch.
That one, it was weird because Dali and a few other people were just like, yeah, Automata's coming. And that one was out of left field. I mean, maybe that was circulating on some rumor mills, but it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah. I had heard it a couple of times, but again, it really wasn't on my radar either. But at the same time, like, Square doesn't really have a lot of AAA stuff that they're like that kind of stuff on the Switch. So, and like Kingdom Hearts is cloud-based, which apparently pissed off a lot of people that Nier is going to be running natively on the Switch and the Kingdom Hearts stuff has to be cloud. So
the only response is it's different.
It's different, man.
It's just different.
Different.
The Nier was already, because Automata was already multi-platform, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just different. I don't know how else to put it. It's also older. Nier Automata.
But like it's about probably as old as the Kingdom Hearts HD 1 and 2 shit, right? Like it can't be that much age difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was just a choice to make it a full package rather than could it have run 1 and 2 HD remix? Yes.
It probably should have, honestly. Like
I think that it would have done banger as a cart, personally.
Yeah. I think if you just
but that's me.
If you did like the what was it, Final Fantasy 10 package where it was like
right.
The first, it had 10, but you had to download 10.
Download 10 too.
Bayonetta 2 was the same way where you had to download. Like a similar concept where it's like, oh, you get 1, you have to download 2, and you stream 3. Like I don't.
Or yeah. I mean, even if it was like, because was it sold as one thing?
Or
one package.
One package, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like the same deal. It had a cart of 2, and the other 2 were down. 1 was downloaded and 3 was streamed. Same idea.
Yeah.
I think
or just sell 1 by itself, 2 by itself, and
I don't know. Either way, they didn't want to be in the business of having carts. That's a Square.
It's an expensive venture for.
That's a Square Enix choice. That's how they wanted to do it. They're going to pick and choose different things for different games. It's just always how it's going to be. But anyway, Automata came out 2 years earlier than Kingdom Hearts 3 did. A lot of shit happens in 2 years.
2 years is a long time in tech, like especially engine improvements and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I think arguably Kingdom Hearts 3 is a more ambitious game overall. So technically speaking,
I agree.
But anyway,
I'll be interested.
Automata was a big one.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see that come out and see how it actually the final.
Yeah, I mean there was plenty of jokes on Twitter after that announcement, mostly about how bad it's going to look on Switch. But you know what? They also showed No Man's Sky footage, which is another game that I thought that would look like dog doo doo, and it only vaguely smells of dog doo-doo based on the footage that I saw.
Yeah.
Where it's just, low poly, like 50% resolution scale, that kind of thing.
Which Nier game has save deletion?
I believe, Automata has save deletion.
Yeah.
When you that is an option that you can take when you beat it. I don't remember if Near Gestalt also has it, but it sure sounds like something that Yoko Taro would do. So yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'll just go out and say that Gestalt might also have it, but I don't remember. I played it. I played that last year, and I don't recall if I went through that. But it's optional, so
yeah, it's like a difficulty mode. It's essentially. They announced a sequel to Super Bomberman R, which is kind of Bomberman was a cool game, and I can see and they made R sound pretty enticing with its multiplayer stuff, but
it's one of those things. Just like, yeah, sure, why not make another Bomberman?
Yeah,
but like I don't personally care.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like I like playing Bomberman games, but I don't want to spend modern prices on a Bomberman game. Like, even $40, even
yeah, I was gonna say exactly.
It's like pushing the limit of what I'm willing to spend for a Bomberman game right now. Like
about $20 feels like Bomberman dollars.
Yeah,
and then you're like, I better get my $20 worth out of this game.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the best part of Bomberman has always been getting other people to play Bomberman with you, which is always the hardest part about playing Bomberman.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's like I dare you to try and invite somebody over with the tagline, "Let's play Bomberman." It doesn't always work.
It's a hard sell. Like they'd much rather play one of like the weird board game, video game adaptions or something. It's like let's play Trivial Pursuit or Monopoly. I don't know what a fundamental change to Bomberman is.
A fundamental change to Bomberman means it's no longer Bomberman, man.
Yeah,
it's like it's at that point you're just talking about making a different video game.
Yeah, because like because there were like, what was it? The GBA or the DS had like Bomberman RPG. There were Bomberman games with like RPG stuff that were good games, but what's the point of just make it a new IP? It doesn't
just make a different IP and hope that it's interesting. Bomberman doesn't exactly have the only name cachet that it has is in the game type that it has.
Yeah.
Associated with it, so why bother making something else?
And to this day, people are still ripping off Bomberman for their my first indie game. It's like Space Invaders and Bomberman are like a couple of the.
Bomberman is best left to a mini game.
Yeah,
in all reality,
I think Bomberman is best as just playing one of the old versions that are inevitably find its way onto like a package somewhere or on a virtual console somewhere. Like the TurboGrafx Bomberman game is a fantastic version of Bomberman that's like, that's all I need and I'm good. I get my Bomberman out of it. So yeah, let's stop talking about Bomberman.
That's about it for Bomberman. We've already over Bombermaned it.
I think the biggest announcement that really got most of the internet talking was the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection that was announced during that, which is the GBA Bomberman RPGs. There are 10 of those games.
Not Bomberman RPGs. Mega Man.
Mega Man. See? It's burned its way into my brain.
Mega Man Battle Network. There's 10 of them. However...
It does have a Pokemon thing going on.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was snapped back to reality when I looked at the actual formal list of the titles, and I realized that it was like, I was just going to rattle off Pokemon names because I don't actually remember the Battle Network ones.
But they're not that far because some of them are like color-based.
They're very close. Yeah. They're very close. I don't remember what the point of having multiple versions in the same generation of those games was.
I think it was the same sort of Pokemon stuff where you're only able to
to trade cards, because it was card based, right?
It's like cards or chips or whatever. It was all just like some of them were tied to specific.
How much they can charge for? I believe it was already announced at 40.
I think it was 40. Yeah, if I vaguely recall correctly, it's next year. Which always seems weird when it's just a collection of GBA games, but I get it. You got to market it. You got to put the footwork in on. Out there.
So technically, it's actually 6 games because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3, 4, and 5 each have 2.
Yeah, and those games have only gone up in value in recent years.
I mean, like the first
Yeah,
two were the ones that I distinctly remember playing personally, like on the
yeah,
original hardware, and
yeah.
they were good.
They were good. They were good. They're funny, like surprisingly so. The localizations of them really didn't really just went for it in a lot of ways. So it'll be interesting to see what they. Some of the localization probably should be changed. Will it be changed? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see if it doesn't change what happens to like social media with some of the jokes that play out in Mega Man. Uh, but no, I can't wait. I'm excited. I'll get that for sure. That's a good collection.
Yeah,
Uh,
that one is probably gonna. The nice part that or at least what I like about it, is that I've played enough of them that I know what those games are. I don't feel a huge hole that I like avoid that I have to fill immediately.
yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna wait, and that thing's gonna go on 35% in less than 6 months, and I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah.
pick it up then easy.
Yeah. Because I don't have like the nostalgia for the Battle Network games. I just like the Battle Network games.
Yeah,
I
the only thing
prefer.
about I definitely cried when I played the first Battle
Oh.
Network game. Listen, there's a really heartfelt story in
Yeah.
there,
No, I
and
know. Yeah.
I was a young lad, and
Yeah.
you're just emotional.
Pac-Man World Repack.
I don't care
Uh,
about this.
it's a good game. Pac-Man World's a surprisingly good game, and people have been asking for a re-release of this game, and they're
A
getting it.
person was asking for it. Don't you dare
Hey,
act like there's a group of them. I don't
at,
believe it.
at least there are dozens of us, Taylor. Dozens.
I find it hard to believe.
No. Blanc, that monochrome, like the wolf cub
Blanc looks
gear.
dope.
That game looks rad. I am all in on Blanc. That was a beautiful trailer that really hooked me. Just wants to talk about Pac-Mom. Yes, they replaced Miss Pac-Man with
With
Pac
Pac Mom.
because of
Really?
yeah,
Oh, because of
because
licensing issues.
the lawsuit. So like if they
Ugh.
could like uh Bandai Namco can use Miss Pac-Man if it's like in an arcade setting, but when it's just like a console game setting, they're not allowed to. So if you pick up the recent collection that was just released, that Pac-Man Museum collection, it's on Games Pass right now. Um, they've replaced Ms. Pac-Man with Pac-Mom in every version of the games that are in there, which is weird. It's just this weird thing. It's like the Friday the 13th lawsuit where kind of nobody wins at the end of this thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just that's a weird one to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I hope like any game that has people that worked on it that it does well. I don't personally see the market for it, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that there isn't one.
Yeah. We got to see more of Return to Monkey Island, which I'm very, 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 very excited for. Very cool. I'm the aesthetic has split the internet right down the middle. It seems like I
I
love it.
think I think that expecting it to return exactly as it was is very silly,
Yeah.
and to not embrace whatever it is that I mean, Ron actually came back and is actually making the game. If
Yeah.
that's the if that's what he settled on, then listen, man,
Yeah.
you got to go for the ride.
Yeah.
You can't buck this at this point.
Yeah. It's like I guess people wanted it to look like the special editions for 1 and 2, but like
Those were those games.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I'll definitely check that out. Mario Rabbids, yeah, that got its
Yeah, we
release
already
date
like, again
October.
another known quantity.
Yeah, Little Noah, Scion of Paradise, which came out that day. Like a weird like platformer / RPG thing. That seems fine. I'm just looking at the list of stuff that was announced. Railgrade, that Epic Games train strategy game that was on there.
Yeah, I mean that one actually, I get. I for whatever reason I see like gameplay of like management sims, and my brain gets activated like immediately.
Just see Factorio and your
Yeah,
brain just
it
starts
literally.
firing.
I literally bought Factorio and have played it for like 40 minutes, and that's it. But I see Factorio and I'm like, the brain gets activated. It's like I have to play this, and so yeah, I saw the rail sim and I was like, yeah, I want to play that game.
RPG Time: The Legend of Wright, which was that like dungeon master looking, hand drawn, pencil drawing
Yeah,
RPG.
I mean, I'll put it. I think that game is going to review very well, and I don't know if it's going to be for me, but I think that it's probably going to be very good.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it's one of those games that I will play but never finish. Like, I like this. Bravo for making this interesting, cute thing, and then just be done with it. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Sonic Frontiers.
yeah, whatever. Well,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, we're done with Sonic Frontiers.
I'm past it.
Uh, is that on other stuff already? It looked like something I saw. I think there's a couple of like if we're talking about the I don't know which game you're talking about, the RPG one. Yeah, but I think it's because that was a style. It looks familiar because like there have been a couple of hand like pencil drawing style games. I don't think that's out on anything yet. There's an easy thing. We all have computers. We're doing this on a computer. I suppose I can just
I mean,
like
I think it was also shown previously
yeah.
a couple times. But yeah, no, I
Initial
don't.
initial release 2021. So yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
so yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct, reminding us about games that are coming elsewhere and also have already come out elsewhere.
Disney Dreamlight Valley. Definitely just a trailer specifically for the old.
Yeah,
J-Man.
speaking about games that are also coming out elsewhere.
Yeah, that game is like it fired all of it. It's like it's like Stardew Valley, but also Disney and also resource management and stuff, but with Mickey Mouse. Yeah, okay, sign me up. It's not the first time this Disney universe has been applied to this kind of concept, and it won't be the last. Like, because there were those like 3DS Magical Kingdom games and stuff, but this one looks a little more in depth than those ones were. And yeah, sure. It's early access is coming, like or something like in September, which seems like weird for something like this. But
Yeah, speaking of other games that are probably going to do well that I just absolutely don't care about.
yeah,
I know that you do, but
yeah.
boy, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I don't know.
like.
When I see something like early access for something like a game like this for like a Disney game that is sort of a known quantity style of game, it just tells me that they're going to try to nickel and dime me with this game, and I'm not. So it just gives me that feeling that live alive or live alive or live a live, whatever you want to call it when you're a weirdo. Was shown off and the demo came out that day. So you can play the demo and your save progress moves forward. A Doraemon game, which cool, but wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like sure. I don't know. There was a couple of these that was just like, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, it's a Story of Seasons game with Doraemon, which for anyone that doesn't know, Doraemon is like one of the Japanese anime. It is just like he might as well be the mascot for anime. But not big in America. They don't really do a lot with Doraemon in America. Every once in a while, one of his like games or shows will like pop up, but like it's never really had a significant foothold here. But I just think because it's a Story of Seasons game, that's why it's getting the pass to come this way.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there is somebody like that I think travels to Japan Games, production studios, and just like, are you familiar with Stardew Valley? And then just like it just keeps working. It's like
Yeah.
they are doing it better than we did Story of Seasons, and they're like, well, all right, we'll get Doraemon on the case immediately.
It's thanks to the direct that I finally know how to say Doraemon. I could imagine looking at that word without having ever heard it and just being like,
Listen, I literally just called it Doraemon. So,
yeah, Doraemon.
And I will continue to say Doraemon, by the way.
Yeah. It's definitely a word that you read more than hear, so it's easy.
Yeah, sure.
Minecraft Legends looks great.
Yeah, that one was announced back at Xbox, so we knew about that one. But yeah, looks good. I
Quest.
don't. I'm not positive if that footage came from a Switch, but that's whatever.
No, me neither.
Neither here nor there.
That lighting was definitely not Switch lighting.
Yeah, it looked awfully good.
Yeah, Dragon Quest Treasures, which I guess like
Sure, prequel to one of the characters from Dragon Quest 11. Yeah, why not? Sure.
The Portal Companion Collection, which is just
I'm
Portal.
I can't. I'm so excited to finally be able to play that video game.
Yeah, I can't finally portable Portal. Impossible to think of today.
I will say though, it is. I'm sure Valve is probably handing that off. The port stuff, but
listen,
it's nice to at least see them involved in the IP that they own and are successful with.
Yeah.
At this point, if we'll use gyro, I would think so. It depends on the porting studio, though.
Here's the thing: it's already out. It came out that day.
I
immediately bought it.
Oh, okay.
And I can
tell us.
And I can say with definitiveness that yes, it has motion aiming. So it definitely does.
I think
it's a good port. There's no I have no problems with it. Sometimes it runs a little sluggish, but that's the loading stuff, when you're heading towards the elevator or whatever.
I mean, at this point, it's just that version of Source 2 that does that.
Yeah. So it's because Portal 2 had the motion control already, because back in the day they had they worked with Razer to have those motion controllers, and they had the Portal one. They had the PlayStation 3 version had motion controllers. So if it didn't have motion controls on the Switch,
it would be weird.
It'd be weird. And apparently, because of this port, people have gotten Half-Life 2 to run on it, because Half-Life 2 is kind of incomplete in the engine that's running Portal on this, which I can understand. I'm assuming Half-Life 2 just kind of half exists in the Source engine by default. So
if they didn't want to set up servers and shit like that, they would have just released the orange box.
Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't want to bother with that nonsense or go with regulations for it, so they just didn't.
And also, just as a note, the collection, both games are separate. It's not like it's one bundle. It's just two separate downloads. You buy it as one, downloads as two separate games. So it's not like it's
which makes that's actually, I feel like, better.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So there's that. Harvestella? That.
All right, listen, Harvestella. I am. Boy, I want that game. It was one of the my top wants out of the direct, but also one of my top fears out of the direct, because that game could easily be a dud. I feel like. Yeah,
it definitely has all of the potential in the world. It looks good. It's kind of it's that kind of life sim that really hasn't been explored too much. So
it's one of those things where I think about all of my favorite versions of the life sim that have combat in them. Yeah. And they all look way, way, way simpler than this game does. Yeah. And so the really nice looking video game version scares me now.
Yeah.
I don't because I can't. I feel like I can't trust it, because not a single one of them have been very good.
Yeah. Had this game been seen before this? I don't know.
I don't recall it, but you know what?
It's coming out in November.
Yes.
So, it's a this year game. Who knows? It's an unknown quantity, but
I mean, what was the other game that Stefan brought up that we also didn't know about? So
yeah. What was the? I have to go through
the prequel to The Messenger.
Yeah, the Sea of Stars or whatever it was.
Sea of Stars.
Something like Stefan. What was it?
No, it was Sea of Stars. It was Sea of Stars.
Yeah, where we were both like, oh, I Googled it and saw the words prequel to Messenger and was like, oh, boy, you'd think I would have known this, but no.
Yeah, I mean, which is now coming on in 2023, but this one wasn't at the direct. This one was at, and not that I want to deviate too far, but it was part of Summer Games Fest. I don't know exactly which part it showed up at, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. That shit looks like mega my jam, and I want to play that.
Yeah.
But that goes for this and Harvestella.
Yeah. And last announcement of the Direct was the one that everyone's been predicting for the past several years, and that is Persona 5 is coming out in October to the Switch. It's the Royal Edition, obviously, because that's the version they're pushing to the multi-platform stuff. And 3 and 4 are coming at later dates. But yeah, Persona 5 Royal coming.
Yeah, I mean, this has just got to be a part of the fact that 5 Royal was already getting the multi-platform treatment. Yeah. So, they've got it in active port development.
We did not forget Blanc. We talked about Blanc.
We already talked about Blanc.
How dare you? We talked about how beautiful it is and how much of a jam it is for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, there was so little to talk about because JJ and I just both agreed that, like, yes, that's our jam. We want to play it, and then we moved on because there was nothing else to say about Blanc.
Yeah. You are the heathen. You are correct, Stan.
But yeah, for Persona 5, I mean, the reason why that one's coming out, like, because I'm sure that, like, the gut reaction here is, why the hell is there any delay on after 5 comes out? 5 is the newest one. It should be the hardest to make. Yeah. But the reality is that it's in active port development for Xbox, for PC, and now for Switch.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to just do those all at once and then pivot later. So
I'm really glad that Persona 3 FES is like coming out in modern platforms, because that's a great game. That's the.
Yeah, I mean, is it though? Not FES. This is portable.
It's portable, but didn't the portable version wasn't because it was PS2? Did it go? Because it was PS2, then was it Vita, then FES?
No, so it was so PS2 had original Persona 3, and then it had Persona 2, and then it had Persona 3 FES. Yeah. And then Persona 3 Portable came out on PSP.
Yeah.
So, but that was a port which they added the female version of the protagonist.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And improved a little bit of the combat and that kind of stuff. But they dropped the extra animation from FES and the ending stuff. So there are people that are on both sides of the coin. Like, ideally, if people had their top choice of what's my favorite Persona 3 version, it's a version that doesn't exist because they want the updated combat from Persona 3 Portable, but they want the extra stuff that was in FES. So that's the long story short. In my opinion, if you're going to take any of them, the Persona 3 Portable version is superior from, like, I want to play a video game.
Yeah, it's definitely the one that plays the best. Like,
here's the reality, guys. This isn't the PS2 days anymore. Go look up the extra videos about FES. It's okay. You'll get over it.
I want to play it. I want to play it and enjoy it that way. I don't want to have to struggle with some of the archaic stuff that they had to sort of deal with.
Yeah, so I mean, I had Persona 3 Portable on my Vita, and it is good. Yeah. And obviously, Persona 4 Golden was also on the Vita, which is where I had it. Yeah. And it's crazy to think that the games on my Vita is coming out to Nintendo Switch.
I mean, I just played through Persona 4 very recently because the Steam port's really good. So it's a convenient, easy way to play Persona 4 already. So
listen, Atlas can keep bringing all of the Shin Megami Tensei and that's a great question, Dali.
Where is Zach?
Zach is currently offline. Oh, actually, no, he's online.
He's online,
but will not respond to any of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Alice is clearly in a place where they are into bringing their games, specifically the Shin Megami Tensei games, or the Shin Megami Tensei adjacent games, over to Steam and other platforms,
Yeah.
because now we have Persona games. Now we have the Nocturne games. Nocturne 3 HD came out, got a Steam release. So I'm just saying, where's Shin Megami Tensei 5? Bring
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
now.
Bring it. Yeah.
Give me the FPS that I demand.
I wish Zach was here so he could talk about Rune Factory 5 some more on PC.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be really nice to talk about now.
Yeah.
Because supposedly, I mean, I asked him about it, and he said it fixed all of his problems with the game. I
Yeah.
believe was the exact quote from him.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll never know officially
No,
on the docket. So,
yeah, I mean, he's building up
quite the back catalog.
PowerPoints at a rapid pace. He
Yeah.
already had two the last time I talked to him. It might be more now.
Could he? Can't wait. He could air one tonight, but no.
No,
Any other news you want to talk about? Is there anything you can think of that you want to?
hold on. Let me type in this real quick.
SideQuest.com. It's a website.
Yep, it
Uh,
is.
I don't think we need to talk about the Atari collection because that's specifically only news for me. I think Dali only posts those to taunt me. Uh,
Probably. I mean, I don't think we need to talk about the new skin coming to Fortnite.
I think we're pretty good on that.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, just a reminder that the patch for Final Fantasy 14 in August brings the Island Sanctuary. That's just a quick heads up reminder. Don't forget. Yeah, I don't think we need to talk about the Nintendo Switch Online new games.
I will say that this is actually probably the first time that they've added something to the Genesis collection that's worthwhile. Because
Is
Wily
it?
War,
Did it?
it's just that Wily Wars is such an expensive game that like just to kind of push it in the front of people, like this isn't a good version of Mega Man by any sense stretch of the imagination. But like if you wanted to buy a new copy of Wily Wars, it's 3 digits for a Sega Genesis game. And
Yeah.
even Zero Wing, like a loose copy of Zero Wing's like $80, which it's only that popular for a meme, like the original meme. But like, I don't know. I think it's interesting because those games aren't on other collections. Like all the other Genesis stuff for the most part, you could just get on almost any collection of 16-bit games, except Wily Wars is probably it doesn't see the light of day very often. Limited Run, or was it Retrobit? I think Retrobit put out a new physical copy of Wily Wars for some reason. But yeah, that's it. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
I mean, Stefan mentioned it earlier in the chat that Sega was also considering the live action Persona movie or TV show. Since we talked about Persona, sure, I figured why not
Yeah,
mention it.
man, I don't like. You're gonna have to like. I can't think of one live action. What like when Japan does it, they do it super campy, which I appreciate for the most part. They really lean into the aesthetics of the show and sort of sacrifice a lot of like quality filmmaking and acting for just aesthetics.
Yeah.
And then when America tries to do it, they kind of try too hard to try to make it an actual like thing. Like we're gonna make it a little dreary. We're gonna make it a little more serious. We're gonna tone it down a bit. And neither of them work. Yeah,
I just make more anime, man. Give it to a kick-ass studio and make more anime.
The Persona animes are perfectly cromulent.
It's just I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Did we not mention the Shin-Chan game that was also in the direct?
We did not. I forgot about the Shin. Well, there was also the Shin-Chan game. That
I figured that's another life sim game that is Switch and PS4 only.
Yeah, very very cool thing you got going on there, guys.
Anyway,
and there was that like Monster Rancher kaiju raising thing that they announced in the Japanese
Oh,
version.
the Japan only, which
Yeah,
is getting an English
English
release,
yes,
not a US release.
yeah,
Was Shin-Chan in the direct? Yes, Shin-Chan was in the direct.
yes.
Yeah, the Kaiju Wars is getting an English release in Asia, which usually, in my experience, if they have an announced English Asia release, that probably means it's not coming here.
Yeah,
That is going to be an import
yeah,
item if you
yeah.
want the
I
English
will.
version.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, we live in a world now where, it's easy to get. If it's gonna, like, I could buy the digital key for that game, or or
Yeah.
go to Play Asia and just not really spend that much more than it would cost. But yeah.
Uh, I don't think there was any other news.
Well, there you go. I guess. I guess we move on to what you've been playing. Should
Do
we talk about our stuff first? Because what I have to talk about is very little and very short because it's a review thing. And
I mean, mine's pretty short too. Do we want to check in on Dali and see if he's still alive or?
let's see. You know what? I've got this thing from him. He gave it to me to hit go when the time was right. So I think now's
Yeah, I'm
the
just
right
worried
time.
about him. I want to make sure he's
I want to make
okay.
sure that he's fine. I want to make sure that he's healthy and thriving. So let's check it out. Let's everyone just sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to the very first Delicious Games with Dali, where we're going to talk about some of the games that Dali's been playing. Up first is the very charming Fishing Paradiso. Fishing Paradiso is the most chill fishing game I've ever played. Takes place in the afterlife. We're dead. Woohoo! But we're not just staying dead. We're trying to figure out what the actual meaning of the afterlife is through fishing. It's obvious. Fishing. Very chill fishing, in fact. The entire vibe of the game is like wading in a shallow pond. There's no pressure. I can't get swept away, and I can float as long as I want. Okay, enough of the analogies. The game focuses on catching fish, sure, but it's really only there to support the sort of existential backdrop of life after death. People still have needs in heaven, surprisingly, and are trying to deal with their own mortality in different ways. Some are sad, some are happy, some are curious, some just want to go through the motions. In this case, heaven is a series of 16-bit islands and lands and ponds and oceans in which people are very aware of being an NPC without saying it out loud. Our ultimate goal, as conveyed by a little blue bird at the very beginning of the game, is to buy a house in heaven on an island. To do that, we need to raise money by helping those very same souls, usually through fishing. A lot of fishing. Now, you might think, well, what kind of fishing is this? It's definitely a fishing game, but more like Golf Story was a golf game. There's still enough RPG and light action to make us feel like there's a story and progression wrapped around the whole thing. Thankfully, the fishing part is easy to digest. It's a mix of Animal Crossing's shadowfish aiming and the 3DS Street Pass's ultimate angler's pullback. That makes the actual fishing aspect here fairly straightforward. Just cast, tap A, and reel it in. If our stamina's about to give, we let out some of the line and then pull back in. Sometimes they get away, sometimes they don't. With the money we save from these quests, we can improve our rods and try again. Eventually, we can afford that magical house. And that's it. It's an accessible game that lets us play at the speed we want, meeting some interesting characters and enjoying those plot points along the way. And we get to go to space. There's no deep end to Fishing Paradiso's heaven, but there is a very nice sun ledge. It's out on PC, where I played it thanks to Odin Cat for the code, as well as Switch and mobile devices. Up next, we're going to talk about Life's Too Short. One of the games that I've been playing on this little handy device that I like to call a Play.Date. You can kind of see it right now. It has a crank, and it's yellow. Look at that. I can go through the different games in some unique ways. But enough about me and my awesome little toy. Let's talk about Life's Too Short. The really interesting aspect about Life's Too Short is your ghost. Hey, there seems to be a theme here with what we've been talking about, isn't there? Well, in this case, Life's Too Short has you going into this beautiful sort of Atari-ish world where you have to help people or ghosts or vampires, you don't know what they are just yet, have kind of a fun little night. It's a short game, maybe about 25 to 30 minutes long, has a little bit of adventure and point and click feel to it, but I think that brings that retro flavor right back in fashion. Anyways, Life's Too Short. It's kind of short. Like I said, it's about 25 minutes, but that 25 minutes can be endlessly replayable because it's the same game over and over again if you replay it for 25 minutes. Anyways, I like the ghost. I like the aesthetic. It's on Play.Date. It's very simple to play. And that's a snake, which is really weird. Life's Too Short. It's pretty awesome. Moving on. There we go. Dungeon Escape by Cinez Productions. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Dungeon Escape, well, think of it this way. Have you played Adventure on your Atari? Or how about Venture on your Atari? How about either of those games, the sequels on your Atari? That's what Dungeon Escape is. It is basically those games, but on the Play.Date. Kudos to the developer who basically learned to code from watching YouTube videos, which we all should do, and created this little gem. It's an adventure game. You go through, collect keys. There's a little bit of Zelda flavor to it. You got a sword. You can beat up some enemies and kind of make your way out of this dungeon. That's it. There are hearts. It's awesome. That's the game. I hope you enjoy it. So, anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about today because I think that it's a lot of fun. The Play.Date is good. Pick one up. Fishing Paradiso. Life's Too Short on the Play.Date. And Dungeon Escape. There you go, right there. There you go. Beautiful. Do it. That's it. Bye.
Okay. Turns out, no, he's not okay.
I
don't know.
I'm worried.
Yeah, we should
About
probably give him some food, maybe.
Yeah, I mean anything to make him stop doing that voice.
Yeah. I don't know where he picked that up from. We made sure not to include television or Wi-Fi in the brig, but there he is. We'll check on him later.
But I will say I had also received a code for Fishing Paradiso. Dali was nicer about it than I would have been. Fishing Paradiso is not bad, but it definitely feels mobile first. Like you click the buttons as if your mouse was a finger pointer, right?
Yeah.
So you're clicking to interact as if you were touching a touch screen with your mouse cursor.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but not it's the lack of port on a mobile first game development. All the buttons work if you're using a controller too. But it's just like if you like a fishing mini game, then I'm sure you'll have a good time because that's the whole thing. Translation is probably the biggest drawback. It's fairly simplistic in the translation. It's not too bad, but maybe my issue is not the translation, but just that the writing is kind of bland. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old and a curmudgeon. I'm not sure. It's a decent fishing mini game. Yeah, both can be true. But yeah, I mean, it is a fishing level up it's like your cast distance, your rod tension, your charm, which is how like you're like the fish are graded from D through S or something. And so they, about how big of a fish you can get and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's fine. But the story of me in the afterlife was less compelling than it needed to keep me going longer than I did. What didn't, or I should say, what games bad writing didn't stop me from playing it was Neon White. I know that Zach likes the writing for Neon White. That is, yeah, it's not bad. It's just not good. And it certainly is not good enough that I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the writing. It's decently voice acted. They got Steve Blum to do the main character, which
Spike Spiegel himself.
Spike Spiegel from the Cowboy Bebop, English dub, and he does a
everything.
he sure does his voice in a video game.
I've heard him in 7-Eleven commercials. I've heard him in anime. I've heard him in video games.
He's oddly not done that much anime overall.
Yeah, no.
He did.
Yeah.
He did that, and he did Samurai Champloo, and I think he had like a bit role, some other bit roles elsewhere, but he didn't really like star in anything else.
Most of the time, he is just like background voice, like the NPCs and things like that.
He's done some video game stuff too. But anyway, so he's in there. The voice acting is fine. The writing is just like, I don't know. I'm not going to really tell anybody else about it. Yes, Samurai Champloo was from the same creator, which is why when it came to the dub, they were like, I mean, they looked at what happened with Cowboy Bebop and they were like, yeah, I'll do that again.
You're absolutely right. It was.
But yeah, Neon White on the maybe I have just like a little bit of speedrunner brain and I didn't know it. But I'm not one to usually toot my own horn. I'm a half decent Neon White player. I mean, I'm top 500 in quite a number of the tracks that I've run. Top 50 in a handful of them, and Neon White is pretty popular at the moment. There are quite a number of thousands of people that have that are on the global leaderboard there.
So you're in a top percentile. Look at you.
I'm doing pretty good overall.
Speaking of speedrunner brain, Summer Games Done Quick is going on.
Yeah, it is. This is going to show up next year for sure. I think. Obviously, it was too soon to get in for this year's because you have to submit, in advance and all that stuff. There's no way this is not already slotted for Games Done Quick in this coming winter. So, but I mean, like, if I want to boot up something and I'm like, how am I going to boot up this? It's like Neon White, boom, easy. The longest level is like a minute and 40 seconds. Now, granted, it takes me like 3 hours to beat that level because I've got one buddy on my friends list, and he's like right up there with me, and he beat the game before I did. So every time I play a level, he's already beaten it, and so I can't progress until I beat his time. And so that usually slows me down pretty decently. But yeah, man, that's a video game. That's good.
Video games, baby.
And then I hopped on. I didn't actually. I borrowed it from Steam friend sharing from a friend of mine. DNF Duel, which is a new fighting game from the Arc System Works folks.
Oh yeah.
Which is really, I don't know, the whole idea of DNF Duel as a fighting game is really interesting to me. If you're not familiar with with DNF Duel, I mean, DNF is an old franchise for like an old RPG franchise,
Mhm.
which is just like really, I don't want to call it esoteric, but like
But that's not too
it's,
far off.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of siloed, not in Western audience.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always make its way here and kind of into our collective brains. But yeah, I mean, DNF is like huge
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's
So DNF
is it JP first? Was it, or was it South Korea?
I think
I think it's I think it's South Korea.
yeah, because it's Dungeon Fighter Online for JP and it's DNF for South Korea.
Okay, no, it was South Korean. Okay,
Yeah.
it was South
DNF,
Korean's
Dungeon- 'cause it's-
subsidiary of Nexon. So yeah, I mean, it's just really interesting to me that they take the DNF characters. So basically, they took Dungeon Fighter Online.
Yeah.
They took the major archetypes of that video game, which is a KMMO, as basic, at the end of the day. Except that it's, arcade fighter focused, and they made a fighting game out of it. I don't know. It's weird. And then they got Arc Systems Works, who does, all of the best anime fighters that you would expect, and made a fighting game out of it. It's good. It's pretty good. They put it this way: the input for Dragon Punch is a one button press. So what else you want?
There you go.
They did it. They did it before Street Fighter 6 did it.
But yeah, I'm a huge fighting game buff. Like I love fighting games. If a new fighting game is out, I'm there for it. And it's like so.
Yeah, DNF Duel is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's $50, which is I don't want to call it cheap, but it's not on the high tier of a video game cost for a brand new release.
Yeah,
Man.
and fighting games tend to also go cheap fast.
Oh, they go cheap fast. I mean, like we're 6 months from the holiday season.
Yeah.
This thing's gonna be $25.
Yeah.
Probably before then.
Anything else for you?
Let's see. Let me just check Steam library. Let's check what I recently played. I'll throw this out there. I hopped online. A few friends hopped in Discord, and we played Pico Park.
Oh, look at you.
So we had 5 of us there. One person rage quit. Yeah, it was good times. We beat Pico Park. It was great.
Yeah. No, Pico Park's a great little thing.
That was like 3 hours well spent. That's about all you need to say about it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go.
Yeah, what about you?
Well, I got a review code for a little game called Pocky and Rocky Reshrined.
Okay.
So, if you're not familiar with Pocky and Rocky, it is an old.
I am.
I know you are. This is for all the lovelies out there that aren't familiar with it. It is a 16-bit era. Like, it's hard to call it a shooter, but that's what it is. It's a shmup in its own little weird way. But it's not like you're flying or anything. You're just doing your shrine maiden stuff and shooting monsters and stuff. So it's I've always been a big fan of Pocky and Rocky. I like that era of shmups in general. There's a lot of interesting, like, everyone's trying something different in every single one of these games. It's crazy. Was there more than one of them or just one? Oh no, it's a franchise. It is a relatively big franchise. America didn't really go all in on Pocky and Rocky. But there was Pocky and Rocky 2, I think, was on the SNES. And then there was Pocky and Rocky with Becky. which was a GBA one, and those are the three like.
Well, I also think it's funny. Pocky and Rocky reshrined another classic
Yeah,
Japan studio,
yeah,
just not Japan studio and entity, but a
yeah,
studio from Japan releasing a game for PlayStation 4 and Switch.
yeah, yeah,
Man, my God, man,
yeah.
it.
Uh,
I guess we know what consoles are available in Japan.
and there was a game on, I think, definitely on the Wii. It might have been on PlayStation 2 as well, called Heavenly Guardian, which is basically early 2000s
I believe
successor.
there's three official
Yeah,
sequels.
yeah. But yeah, Heavenly Guardian is technically not a Pocky and Rocky game, but it is a Pocky and Rocky game. But yeah, there are three official titles in this: two on the Super Nintendo, one on the GBA.
Yeah.
And they're great little shooters. They're fun. They've got a lot of character. A thing that and I talk about it. I don't know when Dali's going to get the review up that I sent him for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. But I talk about it in there too. A thing that I love are like big, like zoomed in, chunky sprites in these old types of games, because you really get to see sort of the motions of like they really kind of lean into like making animations out of like nothing, and it's charming, and it's the same way with Pocky and Rocky. So Reshrined is a remake of the first game, obviously. And when I say remake, it's a remake. It's not even like it's a filter. It's like they started from scratch to make a new Pocky and Rocky. And I don't understand why they didn't just make a new Pocky and Rocky game, because I kind of feel like they ruined the original game by stretching it out into a 16:9 aspect ratio and making it like and smoothing out everything. Like it's I'm going to share a couple of shots that I have, which I think will we'll just open up the disc. I shared it in the so this is the see if we can get that. This is the SNES screenshot of Pocky and Rocky of the first boss. So, you know, I'm sure you're all familiar with what a Super Nintendo game looks like. This looks like Super Nintendo as hell. It's very cute. But then you get to this is Reshrined. There's more screen real estate now. So a lot of these sort of 4:3 aspect ratio, sort of like crampedness of some of the stages goes away. You got more space to roam around, which kind of affects the gameplay in some areas, and that it wasn't really designed to play like. And it's just not a good, I guess it's a filter. It's hard to tell. But it sort of rubs a lot of the charm out of the sprite work of the original game, because I think for this like Super Nintendo games, especially for Pocky and Rocky, like that's kind of where most of the charm existed. There were 2 million shoot 'em up games across across the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and the TurboGrafx 16. Like that was the joke I because they released the TurboGrafx Mini. And whenever you didn't recognize what a game was, like, I don't know, that game doesn't sound familiar, and you booted it up, it was a shmup. And like, so the charm of Pocky and Rocky sort of existed in its aesthetics, and they just sort of scrubbed it clean. They got rid of all of the sort of messy edges of an old 16-bit game, and it suffers from it. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but I just kind of wish they would have just put it like on the Super Nintendo virtual console thing that they got on the Switch. But I realize that I don't know if like what is the end game trying to revive this franchise, because if that's the end
Right.
game, I understand it from that standpoint. But I feel like you probably would have like. I think if you just announced like we're making a new Pocky and Rocky, like Pocky and Rocky 4 is coming, it probably would have. I can't imagine this game doing particularly well. It's been out for several days now. I haven't seen like a tweet, a review, anything for this game. So,
I mean, was it published by Natsume again?
No.
Okay.
I gotta look up my. My
All right.
I gotta look up my fucking sheet here. I think it's Taito this time around.
Okay.
Yeah. Publishers Natsume and Taito. So
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean,
yeah.
I barely know about kind of
Yeah.
IP ownership on a normal
I
basis,
think
let alone
Taito-
about really old Japanese ones. So
Yeah, I think Taito was like Natsume was like the developer and Taito was the publisher, and it seems like it's like I know full well that it's not like
I think the original was also well, I mean, I think Natsume at least co-published it originally.
yeah. I think in America,
Maybe that's what it is.
because Natsume was definitely more of a, especially in the United States, definitely like publishing a lot of stuff.
Okay.
In the
Okay.
States. But I don't know what the value for the original, like some of these remasters and stuff, you understand, comes from a place of like you're kind of priced out of them. Like when they kind of do this stuff, it's like, well, it's really expensive to play Pocky and Rocky, but I don't think the original one's particularly expensive. I know the second one is pretty expensive because it was like late in like, it was like 95 or something. It was like the PlayStation was already out by the time Pocky and Rocky 2 was released. So
So nuts, man.
yeah. But yeah, like if this were a package, if this was Pocky and Rocky Reshrined with like 1 and 2, I'd probably be a little more enthusiastic about it, since 2 is definitely sort of a harder to find game. But it's just the first one. The first one's fine, but listen, I ain't above saying like you can find it anywhere relatively cheap, and I think you're better off playing it on original hardware or something close approximation of original hardware. But yeah, it's fun, but I don't like the look of it. I don't like the way it removes every ounce of charm for Pocky and Rocky for me. So
yeah, that's the hardest part about it is like, and I mean, this is just going to be way more obvious because we're coming so many gens in front.
Yeah.
But it's the same problem that I end up having with a lot of remakes, remasters of even 2 gens or 1 gen back.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just exacerbated by how big of a leap that we are making in this case.
You were talking about earlier with Persona 3, how it's like the version you want doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think of when it comes to these sort of like re-releases and repackagings and stuff, how good Activision Blizzard did with their Activision Blizzard collection.
Yeah.
Because like those games, as I said in the original review, aren't the greatest games by and large for the most part. But what they did do was give you every version and then create a new version using the best parts of the individual games.
I mean, the last thing that I want to do is compliment
praise Activision Blizzard in 2022.
But they did the same thing with Diablo 2 Reforged or whatever the remake of that one was.
Yeah. Resurrected.
Resurrected. Thank you. Where you press one button and you're like, oh, this is what that used to look like.
Yeah.
And it's running there, the whole thing.
Yeah, the special editions of Monkey Island did that. Where if you're playing it on an Xbox 360, if you hit whatever the back button was, it would just take the polish off. It removes the new music, it removes the HD graphics, and just puts it back to its old Sierra, scum version of thing. I like that stuff in a lot of these games. Like if I could push a button and just play the original Pocky and Rocky, it would probably boost it up a little bit more, because then it makes it sort of a like a restorative piece. It's like, you're maintaining history of like this company and this game, but instead it's just like you're rewriting history, and for a game that didn't really need it. So
yeah. But again, it's just one of those bizarre things where they just, they were like, all right, we're gonna make Pocky and Rocky 2. I mean, like you already said, who knows why?
Yeah.
We already have everything already localized for the US on the original version, so we'll just localize this one too, because that stuff all stays the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know, anytime that I see this is coming out on PS4 and Switch, I'm like, okay, what weird low effort highest denominator thing are we doing here?
Yeah. It's definitely has the like when things were coming out on Wii and PlayStation 2 feeling.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh, it's just, you're just dumping this out on the two platforms that have the highest install base and moving on with your day. I get it. I see what you're doing. It's yeah.
It just hurts a little bit more when it's a game that I want and where I want it to be good.
Yeah, exactly. So
anything else?
I got nothing of any importance. I'm working on some stuff in the background. I'm doing more video content for the website. So, like I said, my Shredder's Revenge review should be up soon. I sent Dali the final version of it yesterday, day before yesterday. I don't know what time.
We all already know how good that game is. So
yeah. So, but this is you just got to get the JJ Flair in on it. So we'll all enjoy that. It's a goofy one. So yeah, I think that's it. We got our Dali prison video out there. We got
I mean, we would love to give you guys a couple additional PowerPoint presentations, but Zach no showed, so he's fired.
So he's fired again. This is like the third time. I'm awarding myself 2,000 side questing points. I'll give you 50 side questing points because you did show up. And there we go. Under 2 hours, under an hour and a half. This is
what happens when it's the lean mean duo here.
Yeah. So, hey, you know what? Thanks for joining us. It was a fun show as always. I like spending time with you guys. Both the chat and you, Taylor, despite how mean you are.
Thank you, and likewise, JJ. You do look like shit without a beard. So
I'm wearing the hat because it's way too much.
It distracts me. It distracts me for sure.
A bald head. It looked like Kingpin. I need to shave off my eyebrows. But yeah, so hopefully next week we have more people.
Vincent D'Onofrio is literally quaking in concern.
But yeah, so I just got my PAX West approval today. So
see you in Seattle, buddy.
I'm going to be in Seattle. Go figure. It's quite the trip. A whole 45 minutes to get there. Significantly less travel time than going to PAX East, but so this Labor Day, expect me to do more of that good PAX stuff that you're used to from side questing. Taylor, where can I find you?
On Twitter, or if you really actually want to hear anything that I have to say, come to the Discord. SideQuest Discord.
The Discord is definitely where some real beefy conversations happen.
Very true.
We really get into some shit sometimes on the Discord. We really dig into some stuff, especially when we're not happy about something.
Very true.
You can find me at _double_J on Twitter, but it's mostly me yelling about professional wrestling and comic books. So
that is correct.
Yeah, so that may not be your cup of tea, but I'm also in the Discord, and I spend more time talking about VTubers and video games in the Discord. So there's that. And you can find everyone at the Discord, sidequesting.com. What's the YouTube one? I always forget. Dali says it every week and it never sinks in. SideQuesting TV? Is that the Twitch?
The SideQuesting TV is Twitch.
Okay.
And
YouTube
look for our logo on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, you can't miss it. It's an S and a Q. It's easy. And follow us on Twitter at SideQuesting, which I think only Dali and Zach run the Twitter. So, and Zach only uses it to promote himself. So, that's good. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to promote it. I was going to promote Zach's Dragon Quest thing.
Zach gets promoted when he shows up.
Yeah, fuck him. You wait for Zach to show up, and he'll tell you about his little Dragon Quest thing. But until then, again, everyone, thanks for joining us. And bye.
Bye.